Welcome, Hudson Valley. This is Conor Walsh, host of In Touch, Townsquare Media, the Hudson Valley's award-winning public affairs and issues program. This week on In Touch, Meg Boyce from the Alzheimer's Association returns to the program. She's coming with the latest facts and figures on Alzheimer's and related dementias that was released earlier this year. Meg and I give an update on the statistics and what folks can do to get the help they need. We invite you to join us and listen to a previously recorded conversation between Meg Boyce and myself here on In Touch. I'm so proud to announce that In Touch has received another 2 Excellence in Broadcasting Awards from the New York State Broadcasting Association for 2024. In Touch received the award for Outstanding Public Affairs Program or Series for the second year in a row. Not just that, but In Touch also received the award for Outstanding Editorial/Commentary. This recognition would not be possible without all of our phenomenal guests that we learn from and grow with every single week, and of course, you, the listener. Whether you've been listening for a while or you just found us, thank you for taking part in the conversation and staying in touch with what's going on in the Hudson Valley. Because of the awesome success of In Touch over the last year, we are expanding. We're launching a new spin-off series under the In Touch umbrella called Townsquare Spotlight. These spotlights focus on amazing celebrities and leaders passing through the Hudson Valley who are making an impact in pop culture. You can check out our latest spotlights wherever you listen to In Touch. Hello, Hudson Valley. You're listening to another episode of In Touch, Townsquare Media, the Hudson Valley's award-winning public affairs and issues program, and we got a great episode for you guys today, and I'm so happy to have this individual in the studio with us today. It's been too long. It has been way too long, but I am so happy, and actually, one of my first guests that I had when I started the program, so thank you for being back, Meg. With us from the Alzheimer's Association of the Hudson Valley, Vice President of Programs and Services, plus Research Champion, Meg Boyce. Meg, how are you?
Thanks so much for having me, Conor. I am doing great, and I'm so glad that you've invited me back.
Absolutely. I'm glad. It was like perfect timing because I was sending out emails about something else, and then that got the conversation rolling. It was like, yeah, why aren't you back? Yeah, let's make this happen. So this is good. It worked out. Great timing. You know, certain things are just meant to be at certain times, you know, so... just like I think the person who I just had in before, who I have to get you in contact with now, I think we had to have that happen as well. So really excited about that. But yes, Meg, you're with the Alzheimer's Association of the Hudson Valley. You got a lot of awesome things going on. You have the Alzheimer's Walk happening on October 19th. That'll be here any minute. But then you also have incredible new facts about Alzheimer's research, especially, you know, here you are at Research Champion. You have a lot to talk about with that. So this is going to be a very busy episode with a lot of important things. Before we get into the nitty-gritty of it all, can you give a brief overview of what the Alzheimer's Association is and what it does as a mission here in the Hudson Valley?
Sure. So the Alzheimer's Association is the only nonprofit organization who provides support and guidance and referrals for families dealing not only with Alzheimer's disease, but any form of dementia. I always like to make sure people know that we work with individuals that have frontotemporal dementia, Lewy body, Lyme-related, AIDS-related, cancer-related. It really runs the gamut. And we provide support groups. We have wonderful trainings for professionals as well as educational programs for not only the care partner or caregiver, but even the person with the disease to learn more about how do I live with this terminal illness.
Especially because we've talked about other times people are getting diagnosed earlier in life now. So the fact that that's happening where it's not so much in quote unquote older disease, here you are people getting in those early stages younger who need those conversations at an earlier stage than we've previously seen. So no, those are great resources to have.
And we also have an amazing fundraising team. And our fundraising is what allows us to do everything that we do without any charge. All of our services and programs are free of charge. And we also have a phenomenal public policy and advocacy team. And it's thanks to our advocates that we have the funding that we do for research and for supports. We are very involved in New York State, up in Albany, making sure that our legislators know the importance of funding and supporting individuals that are dealing with Alzheimer's or some form of dementia, as well as their care partners and caregivers.
No, absolutely. And also, one thing that I've really loved that we've gone into in previous episodes is that dementia, of course, is a wide array of issues when it comes to things, and Alzheimer's is just one pocket of that. And as you've
Correct.
also mentioned, AIDS-related, cancer-related. I was just talking to somebody talking about quote-unquote cancer brain, how unfortunately after all the radiation, the chemo, the treatments, how it degrades into a form of dementia. And I thought that was a great discussion to go into as well. So just the fact that it comes in all different shapes and sizes, and that's not something that maybe a lot of people who are uninitiated realize right away. So having that information at hand for you guys to share has been great. So I appreciate that, and I wanted to say that real quick. We don't need to spend a whole episode on it as we have in other times. We have a lot to get into today, but I just want to make it clear for those listening because that is so important. And I really think it's great, all the different advocates that you have and all the fundraising that you have. And I really want to get into the Alzheimer's Walk. The Alzheimer's Walk that you guys have is so much fun. You guys have it up on the walkway over the Hudson, so that's why it's Dutchess and Ulster. You know, it's bridging the two. I love events on the walkway because it really does bridge the community that way. That's going to be on Saturday, October 19th. And just tell us about the event. Tell us what people can expect at this. What has happened in previous years and what's still being carried over that people can enjoy and enrich themselves in.
We always hope that every year it gets bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
We do have 2 different sites where people park, and then we have a shuttle that will bring them to the site. We start out on the Highland side, and people can walk as far as they want to. If they want, they can walk the entire length of the walkway, or if they only want to do halfway, whatever they're comfortable with. We have vendors there, exhibitors, so people who are providing services to the families that we serve, such as long-term care facilities. We also have some fun vendors there. The Renegades are usually there, and they bring their mascots, and their mascots walk around. We have music. We have food. We provide breakfast and lunch.
Beautiful.
So you can come and have a bagel before the walk and after the walk. Depending on where we get donations, we usually get sandwiches or wraps. And we also try to make it a family event. So we'll have like a children's tent with activities. We'll have an activity for people in the early stages. So we have a whole plethora of joint enrichment activities. And so we bring these activities to the walk so that folks can see what they're like. And last year we had a gentleman who does laughter yoga.
Ooh.
They loved it. I think we had like 40 people in that tent when he was doing his session.
Oh, wow.
So I don't know what we're going to do for the walk this year, but we will have some kind of enrichment activity going on. You can show up at 9 to register. The walk starts at 10. We have a welcome. And then everybody kind of goes off on their own and comes back. And some people usually stick around. They listen to the music. It's really a social time. It's not like you come, you walk, and you leave.
Yeah.
We want it to be a day where people can come and just connect with others that are dealing with similar situations. So it's always a wonderful day. I'm usually overseeing the research tent. So we try to have researchers there if people have questions about clinical trials or what is it like to be in a research trial. You know, we can provide that information.
No, that's great. And I love the fact that it is such a communal thing to be able to come together with an event like this, whether you're a caregiver, whether you're somebody that's going through it, to know you're not alone with it and you get those connections and you meet like-minded people who have had similar experiences. And maybe that starts a friendship. Maybe that starts a conversation. Maybe that gets you involved with the groups. You never know where exactly it's going to lead you. Right. And also, might help you with resources, might help you with research that you didn't know, like just a day before going. And just like a lot of people probably wouldn't know a number of the things you're going to talk about in a moment when it comes to the facts. It's just so important and it's so key. And of course, also, this will be in October, a couple months away. Who knows? By then, we might have beautiful foliage too to enjoy. It's always hit or miss. Last year was a late year, wasn't it?
Yes.
Where we got the foliage. So maybe we'll have good colors.
We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what it all turns out to be. We'll figure out how the rain does the next 2 months and whatnot. And for those who want to get involved, whether they want to donate, whether they want to create a team, whether they want to get involved ahead of time before the event, they can go to the Alzheimer's website and donate, create team, join team, stuff like that along those lines, correct?
Correct.
Nice. And of course, all links and information will be in the description of this episode. We'll make sure that you have the links to the Facebook, to the event, to the Alzheimer's Association. Those links are going to be available, so if you want to check any of those out, we'll have that all together. We just make it easy for everybody. That's what we do.
You're the best.
We try. Again, you're listening to In Touch, Townsquare Media, the Hudson Valley's award-winning public affairs and issues program. Speaking with Meg Boyce, Vice President of Programs and Services with the Hudson Valley chapter of the Alzheimer's Association, and of course, also their research champion. And that's what I really want to focus on now. Let's focus on the research. Really excited to get into this part now because a lot of new things have just been published and put out when it comes to research and understanding. I would just love to let you do your thing. Tell us what is new. What has been the latest things that are coming out right now when it comes to research?
So in the research field, things are happening so fast that as a research champion, we're having meetings all the time. So I'm sure most of your listeners remember when Aduhelm, also known as aducanumab, was approved.
Yes.
It was the first FDA-approved treatment that actually was shown to slow the progression. That was followed up by lecanemab, which is known as Leqembi. And we have another one called donanemab that we are hoping will be approved any day now. It was supposed to be approved at the end of last year, and then it was January, February, March. They want to have one more meeting with a group of experts before they move forward. The Aduhelm now is going to be taken off of the market the end of May because they've continued to do research. And, they've decided that the side effects don't
outweighs things.
Outweigh the benefits. So with that said, though, we still have Leqembi, and we're hoping donanemab is approved. And what these particular treatments do is they pass through the blood-brain barrier, and they actually get rid of one of the hallmarks of the disease. So we all have a protein in our brain called beta amyloid. That's one of the proteins that we have too much of when we have Alzheimer's, and it builds a sticky plaque on the outside of the brain cell or the neuron. What these treatments do is they actually get rid of that sticky plaque. There's been improvements with every treatment. So donanemab is even better than Leqembi.
Wow. Okay.
As far as side effects and length of time that they've seen an improvement. So the two big side effects of these treatments are brain swelling and brain bleeds.
Ooh, okay.
But what they have found is when somebody has had that, more often than not, they didn't even know it. It wasn't until they had a PET scan done that it showed that they had some brain swelling or brain bleed. So there were some people that were very negatively impacted, but it was a very small percentage.
Okay.
And we all know any medication has a laundry list of side effects. I think at this point, every medication, there's the last one is death. I mean, you got to weigh your pros and cons.
No, it's true.
We want to make sure that it is the individual that is able to make that choice and that nobody else is making that choice for them.
Yeah.
And we are to a point with Medicare now has changed some of their guidelines so that people now do have better access to these treatments.
That's good.
I know there's a lot now about light therapy and ultrasound and, there's just, it's never ending. And then we've got this other component now of lifestyle changes.
Oh, all right.
So next year, 2025, the results of a huge study that was done. It was 2,000 participants that looked at lifestyle. So things such as diet and exercise, balance in life, controlling stress, sleep has become a huge component. And then also other parts, like we know our heart and brain are connected, but is our gut and brain connected? So I'm actually in a clinical trial right now that's looking at fiber and cognition.
Oh,
so
wow.
How does our gut health play with our brain health? So it's really never ending, very exciting time in research. You know, I've been doing this, I've been working with this population for 30 years now and being with this organization over 24 years. I can really say that there is hope.
Yeah.
Like I see a light at the end of the tunnel. It's a long tunnel, but
Yeah.
there is now a light there, whereas 10 years ago, there was no light. We
No, it's
really
true.
had nothing. So there is now some movement.
It's fascinating. I love talking with organizations such as yourselves because to see the progression that has been made in just the last few years. We've had a number of registered dietitians and other people who have come on and talked about gut health. And yeah, it seems clear that there is some kind of connection between gut health and mind. But that one thing that we've never discussed is how that affects Alzheimer's. So I'm very interested to see where that study goes. How long has this study been going for? You said it's going to be in 2025, they'll have the results.
So the study went until it had its 2,000th participant. So
Okay.
this study has been going on for quite a few years
Yeah.
because it's taken time to get 2,000 people into the study.
Yeah.
I think it's been almost a year now that the 2,000th participants started.
Okay.
And it's a 2-year study, but they feel they'll have enough data by the end of this year, even though that last group will still have another year.
Yeah.
They will have enough data on the other individuals. And I should add that this wasn't only here in the U.S. So we had the U.S. Pointer study, but it was part of a worldwide organization, and it's called the World Finger Study.
Oh, wow.
And
Okay.
so the same types of lifestyle interventions are happening all over the world, and then we are pulling. Like the Alzheimer's Association is working with all these other organizations in other parts of the world. And then the Alzheimer's Association is going to work with them to pull everything together. It's 2,000 here in the U.S., but it could end up being, 6, 7, 8,000 people that were involved in this study. That's when you know you have valid data. We
Absolutely.
always say to folks when they call us and they'll be like, "Oh, I heard that such and such is good for my brain," and we ask, "Well, first of all, is it FDA approved?" There's a lot of food supplements out there that people push. I'm trying to think of the one right now, Prevagen or whatever it is, and it doesn't do anything. There is no research there. It is not FDA approved.
Interesting.
And so when people call us and they're like, "Oh, we heard about this," we say, first of all, find out, has it been FDA approved? Has it actually gone through an intensive research study? Because if not, then nobody has any guarantee that what they're telling you is true. That's why this will be really exciting to have such a huge, huge study looking at lifestyle. We then will know how this impacted, I don't know how many people, like I said, 2,000 in the U.S. is a pretty good indication of how that is going to help our country.
That's great. And to be able to have this international pool is terrific. I'm so happy to hear that.
Yeah.
It's like to have
very
those numbers.
exciting.
Yeah, it really is. We'll have you back on when those results get published.
I'll be
because
back in a year,
Yeah,
and then I'll have some
2025,
good
yep.
information.
If we don't have you on sooner, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. No, we'll definitely have to talk about that. I'm curious just myself. But the fact that I want to know and the fact that I've been affected and the fact that my family's been affected, that means that other people have been affected.
Correct.
And that's why it's so important to be able to talk about these things. And so I'm glad to hear that the research has been going so well. Again, you're listening to In Touch, Townsquare Media, the Hudson Valley's award-winning public affairs and issues program. Speaking with Meg Boyce, Vice President of Programs and Services with the Hudson Valley chapter of the Alzheimer's Association. Not just that, but research champion. We've been spending the last half of this episode talking about recent research and recent studies, the wide pool of people that they have available to conduct this study when it comes to lifestyle, talking about, the heart, the mind, and now specifically really going into the gut, and really excited to hear what those findings are going to be. So, Meg, when it comes to these recent findings, when it comes to as you said, you're in meetings constantly, everything keeps changing.
Yes.
What can people do to stay up on everything and to be as well informed and know how to help out where they can as well?
First of all, using our website, alz.org, O-R-G, has a lot of information. There's information on how you can help a family that that's dealing with it, but there's also information on the importance of early detection and diagnosis. There's already information on some of the lifestyle changes that we think may be beneficial. We also have a 24-hour helpline, which is 1-800-272-3900. That really provides a level of support and guidance to families no matter what time. We know that the worst times when you're caring for a loved one with Alzheimer's is 3:00 in the morning when they're up and dressed to go to work. And you're trying,
or not dressed at all.
Or not dressed at all.
Yeah.
And you're trying to guide them back to bed.
Yeah.
We can help.
Yeah.
We have master level clinicians 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year that can help guide someone, whatever issue they're dealing with, or if they had an issue and they now want to talk to somebody about it, they can call us, and then we get a report of those calls so that if somebody wanted to connect to their local chapter after that primary call, we can do that. We can then work with them locally.
No, and that's great. And I'll admit, as somebody, with two grandparents going through this, we have used that hotline and we have used resources. So as somebody who's used it firsthand, if you find yourself in these situations, yes, these are good resources to have. Absolutely. And of course, so you have your website that people can check out and you can find all those things. People should also follow you guys on social media too. You guys are always posting stuff, especially when it comes to the walk coming up. That's going to be big. So keep on looking for that. And yeah, that's the other thing. Just staying involved with the events. Show up to the events. Come in person and talk to everybody. Because that's, you really learn a lot through, seeing and experience that. Yes. Absolutely. So, Meg, with the couple of minutes left that we have, what last little nugget do you have for our listening audience when it comes to Alzheimer's? Is there more research that we haven't had to talk about yet that you want to mention? Is there any tips or tricks? What would you like to make sure that you share with the In Touch listening audience?
I think the one final piece that I did want to share that I want to make sure everybody is aware of is every year in March, the Alzheimer's Association releases our facts and figures. And what this document shows is all of the new statistical information. And even if you just Googled 2024 facts and figures, Alzheimer's Association, I think even just doing facts and figures, it might pop up. It's a pretty in-depth document. We every year choose a different topic to focus on. And I think what is most important for listeners to know is that we are already in a shortage for specialists and primary care physicians. And the concern that the Alzheimer's Association has is there's going to come a day, and it already has in some states, we not yet, where there are going to be deserts, where we're not going to have the specialists we need. There are already a couple of states that have, for the entire state, one neurologist.
Oh, my God.
It's frightening. And a neurologist is a key player in the importance of early detection and diagnosis. So we are trying to work with the medical field. We are trying to get people interested and involved in becoming a neurologist, also geriatricians. Like nobody's going into these fields. And what's happening is the diagnosis piece is falling on primary care physicians who have not been trained.
Yeah.
So that's the other piece the Alzheimer's Association is working on is we now have intensive training with CMEs for primary care physicians to give them the tools they need in order to take somebody at least through the beginning of the diagnosing process. And so I think that's really key for people. I know the other area that we're short on are home health aides.
Yeah.
That's another area that we've been working on that also was looked at in this particular facts and figures is shortage of pretty much healthcare professionals in general.
Yeah.
And the fear that as the baby boomers continue to hit that age, we have more people being diagnosed. We have less people going into the fields we need them to go in. We're going to end up with a crisis on our hands if we don't get the medical field up and running and really looking at this as it's a public health crisis.
Yeah.
I always say this is the disease of any disease that's going to bankrupt Medicare and Medicaid.
Yeah.
If we don't do something about it now. And we just keep running into walls, So this is now the hot topic is getting a stable, smart medical field that knows how to properly diagnose so that people get diagnosed earlier. That's the other reason for more of these early stage people, because now that there's treatments that slow the progression, people now are like, I want to know now, because these treatments are only approved for people in the extreme early stages of the disease. So it was only helping a small percentage of the population until we get to the point of people getting diagnosed earlier in the disease process.
But that's a matter of getting the awareness and advocacy out and trying to get that going.
Yes.
And the fact that we're trying to get people into these fields, it's a scary time. In a post-pandemic world, going into healthcare in general it's a tough thing. It's a tough sell.
It really hurt us.
Because the people who have been involved with it and have passion and consideration and a heart for it got burnt out. Yes. And then the people who were going through it either got screwed over in the process or they're scared. So it's a whole other world now.
Yes.
It's a whole other world, and we're having to adjust and figure out the best that we can from it. So honestly, if you're listening and you've ever been affected by this, go into the field, look into it, or even if you don't think you can do that, but you feel like you want to be able to help in other ways, that's why advocacy in whatever form is so important. So if you've ever thought about it, get involved.
Yes.
Get involved.
That's it.
That's why, being involved with it myself with my two grandparents, I see what it's done, and I know that I'm always going to be an advocate now, and I'm always going to be sharing my voice. So I'm so happy to have you on, Meg. Thank you for sharing all of this. We'll keep in touch with all the facts and figures as it comes out. And again, I'm really excited for this year's walk.
So am I.
Fingers crossed for it. Good weather and hopefully some fun foliage. That'd be nice.
Thank you, Conor.
Thank you so much. This has been this week's edition of In Touch, the award-winning public affairs and issues program that runs across Townsquare Media, the Hudson Valley radio stations. We want to give a big thank you to Meg Boyce. For more information, please visit alz.org/Hudson Valley. Of course, all links and information will be in the description of this episode. I've been your host, Conor Walsh. Until next time, stay curious, keep an open mind, and as always, I'm glad we get to spend some time